That work? Okay. Hello, everyone on Facebook. We're gonna get live on the radio here too. So 1 second. Let's see if we can.
Are we in a Facebook group or are we just on your Facebook page?
We are in a Facebook group. It's called Courageous Living. So I've had it for a while. So I just broadcast. Yeah, I just decided to put the group in there. Yeah.
Oh, I'm in there. I'm in there.
Yeah. So here we go with some music.
Do it. Play it.
Well, I thought it played. See, once again, I was like, okay, normally I just hit the button. Podcast intro.
There you go.
Are
you playing music?
Yeah, it says file not found, of course. All of a sudden,
do you want me to sing?
All of a sudden, every other week it works. And this week we're like, nope, file not found.
It's actually, you know how you know those, like you know those people in your life who technologically are like a liability. My dad is the worst. He can be doing whatever and can't get it to work. Phone, internet, computer, cell camera. We do a lot of hunting, so you get the trail cameras. And it's like he can be messing with it for a half hour and he gets so pissed he'd punch right through a wall. And you take it and you'd be like, oh, you just need to do this and this and this. And he'd be like, that's exactly what I was doing. And you're like, click. Oh, it looks like it's working here. Every time. It's like without fail. So
every time the music is worked in, it's just you, Dan. Anyway, we're going to go live.
All I'm saying is it just runs in the family. So it is me. It's just part of what we do.
There is no music this week, but we are live on the radio and live in Facebook.
But you can imagine what it would be like.
You can imagine. Yes. Sing. Okay, so if you are on Facebook, Dan, give them the instructions for how they need to register.
Oh, yeah. So like when you're live on Facebook, let's see. Oh, you know what? Your Facebook group is not open. You got to change your settings, Angela. I don't know how to do it, but I know I had to do it one time. There's a setting in a Facebook group so that it's open. So like I would
look at all these,
but I can't share it. Oh, Hildy wanted me to sing. I think we all would regret what I actually did. There's a way to like open it like publicly so that people can share it.
Okay.
I can't like share your stream to my group or to my page. So you should do that so then we can share it. But then also then it gives people the ability to say, hey, give StreamYard access to my stuff.
Oh, and it doesn't without that. Look at all the things we're learning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, team members, if you're on, go change the settings to public, please. That's what the team can do.
Heck yeah.
For me. Okay. Well, we're going to get into it. So welcome to Unleash Your Courage.
Woo!
Woo!
We have the courage to go live without even knowing how the technology works.
Hopefully they find me hopefully the team makes this public in a little hot second in my Facebook and sends me some intro music for the commercial breaks and things like that.
I don't know if you can change the settings while you're live.
Oh, well,
we'll find out. We're about to find
out. Mm-hmm. We're about to find out. So this week on Unleash Your Courage, Dan Platta, he is how I ended up here on Turfs Radio. If those of you in the Facebook group and that have followed and become part of my community, all of you that are like, what the heck? How are you on?
You're blaming me for this. You're blaming me.
I am. I had James on week 1. He was my first guest. So we told that part of the story then of like how I got introduced to the green industry and in that in that community and that awesome story. And then through James, you came to our mastermind and I met you. And then Dan's like, hey, come on my late night show. So that was my first show. And then I've been on Dan's Bookkeeping Beer BS. It's at 3:00, right?
Central time. Yeah.
3:00 Central. So you guys should all check that out. It is a good time.
That is a good time. We have some fun.
Yeah, we have some fun.
Except for today when I was talking about bookkeeping for like 20 minutes. That was pretty boring. Other than that, it was fun.
It was still fun. But yes, so meeting Dan, then Dan put me on a show and then people started asking, hey, you want to come speak at this conference? Now I'm on a little conference tour and have my own show and still
are you coming down to PWMCA? Dave said something.
Yeah. Well, we were trying. They're like, Angela's home for too long.
You're gonna get stir crazy.
I said no to some opportunities in February, and then I'm like, where else should I go? So maybe we'll see.
They're gonna have karaoke there. How are your skills?
I don't know.
We'll give you a couple glasses of wine. You'll be up there singing.
And then it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't give you really much of an intro. I'm going to let you tell us about your journey. So you haven't had well, I don't know if there is a typical entrepreneurial journey, but you've had a road to.
Yeah. I didn't get here the direct route. We were talking about it on my show earlier about how like you grew up in a little bit of like an entrepreneurial household, and you took that to the extreme. I did not grow up in an entrepreneurial household. Both of my parents got out of high school and started working at a factory, basically. And I'm from central Wisconsin. And it just like going to college wasn't a thing that you had to do, really. It was like, let's go get a job and make some money was a great course of action. My dad is super entrepreneurial, but he did it within his company. But both of my parents stayed with their company until they retired when they were like hitting 60. So like that was the vision that I was given was you go and they wanted my brother and I to go to college. Like, hey, here's the thing that we didn't get to do that you should go do. And then it's go get a job and stay there forever. Right. Like that's safe. But my dad, when he was like 24, 25, they like put him in charge of a whole division of their business, which grew to like, I think when he was retiring, it was a $60 million business that he had grown. So like pretty damn entrepreneurial. And they gave it to him when he was like 24 or 25. Like he just presented an idea of an opportunity that he saw. So he was a intrapreneur. Is that a word? I don't know. I'm a math guy.
Made it up. It sounds like one to me.
I think it's called entrepreneurship if you like develop something internally. Somebody fact check me on that. Tyler Starkey's on. Tyler's a smart dude. I saw he was watching. Tyler, fact check me on that one. He probably knows. So like there's a little bit of like entrepreneurial DNA, but there's like the vision that I was given was like you go to college, you get good grades. Yeah. And I did, believe it or not, like despite myself, I was a pretty darn good student. And then you go get your corporate job or whatever you do, and then you just like stay there forever. So I did that. And I, like, if that was the vision that my parents had, they did a pretty damn good job because I did spend one extra year there, took a hot lap at the old UW Eau Claire, Harvard of the Midwest.
That's what it's called, a hot lap when you do an extra year?
Yeah, like a victory lap.
Victory lap.
I was like, maybe my best self was when I was in college because I was pulling pretty much straight A's besides the semester I studied abroad. And I graduated with 3 majors. So it wasn't like I wasn't doing anything, but man, I was at the bar a lot too, which I mean, like literally just doing what I do now. I drank a lot of beer. I worked out enough so I didn't get fat. And I talked to a lot of other students. Now I just talk to a lot of other business owners. And I worked hard too. I was like in the library till 11 o'clock and then I go to the bar after that type of thing. But anyway, I digress. Was going down this like path of the corporate world, went to college. And like I said, I think if that was the direction, my parents did a pretty good job. My brother went and he's a freaking doctor. He was in college forever. I think he's like 40 years old and he like finally just graduated or something, but he's like, he crushes it. He's actually like, I don't know how they score doctors, but there's like a productivity element to their structure. And he's like in the 99 point something percentile of oncologists, like cancer doctors in the country. He's like super, super productive, which I don't know if that's good or bad. I kind of feel like, should we be measuring doctors based on like how fast they can see patients? Maybe. But anyway, so like, my parents had this, what's that?
Interesting KPI.
Right. And I mean, like their pay is based on it, is my understanding. Like it's very production based pay. Which I appreciate because in our home service spaces, I try to use that any chance I can get. But so I was in the corporate world for about a decade. I did accounting for a minute and I was like, well, this is boring. Even though I have a major in it, it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Funny now that I own a bookkeeping company. but I steered towards finance, mergers and acquisitions, trading, like trading commodities. I called it slinging chicken feed, but I was trading corn and soybean meal, doing options contracts and futures contracts. You probably know all about that. You're a farm kid. You'd probably talk more in basis than you maybe would in options and futures, but I'm sure you grew up, wondering how many bushels per acre you were getting while you were detasseling the seed corn. And then at some point, I kind of, as most things happen, it happened by accident. I had a financial advisor because I was living this stable life. I was going down this stable path of having a corporate job and kind of having fun, but maybe not having as much fun as I could. And I got a financial advisor, and then he was at Northwestern Mutual, and he had the big corporate job. And eventually he said, hey, I'm going to leave and go buy small businesses, like acquisition style, not just start them, but buy them and run them and invest in them and then sell them, like short-term investing, kind of being a fixer, if you will. And so we did that. And one of the businesses we bought was Blue Skies. It was a little window cleaning company in Minnesota. And when he had told me that a year or two before he started buying businesses, I said, well, that sounds cool. Like, let me know how I can help. Like, I'm a finance nerd. So if you need help with acquisitions or help with the accounting or whatever it is, hit me up. And so he and I, we just happened to live like a mile apart. And so he hit me up. And so I helped him with some acquisitions. And then I started building our bookkeeping structure. And we eventually grew a bookkeeping business out of it. But I got here in a really roundabout way. And I don't know that I would have had the guts to just like take the leap and be a straight up entrepreneur if I didn't have a little bit of a path laid out for me. I'm not like I don't think I have the courage to just like straight up leave a, 6-figure job to go start something from scratch. So it worked well for me that he had gone down that path first.
Yep.
And it actually, so he and I was like moonlighting for Blue Skies for like 3 or 4 years. I started full time in 2016. So really in like 2011, 2012, I started just like $20 an hour. Like I was like, pay me something. I'll work on bookkeeping stuff, or I'll work on this or work on that. But I just like work for him on nights and weekends, just helping on stuff behind the scenes. And we had this like marker of time out in the future of when my wife was done with her MBA program. So I had the corporate job, and then she left her job to go back and get her MBA full time. So went back down to like a 1-income household. And I was like, all right, when she gets out and gets the big cushy corporate job with the big salary and benefits, then I'm hitting all my shit here. Then I get to go out and screw around. And she just got to like not make any money for 2 years. So now I get to not make any money for as long as I see fit. And so that was like a good catalyst for me to jump and make that entrepreneurial leap. Was I had some, if there's a bowling metaphor here, I had the bumpers up. Like on one side, I had this thing where I was starting in this entrepreneurial world, but I had a head start because the businesses were already running and I was just like taking over existing businesses. The first thing that I did do was start another new business within that from scratch. So it was like, I showed up at the pool and then I dove headfirst into the kiddie pool. But I also had my wife like go back to school, get out of school, get her corporate job. And so like financially, she's still like the breadwinner. I just still like screw around and drink light beer. She's the one that makes all the money. But I had that like cushion, which from a courage standpoint, I think was what I needed to feel comfortable being an entrepreneur. Now I don't define myself at all as the dude with the job, right? Like when I talk about myself, I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business designer. I'm living that life now, but it was one of those things where I like needed to prove it to myself before I really like thought of myself as that. But now here we are, entrepreneuring.
But that is a good story of it isn't always the same path. I mean, you think you might not have had the courage to just jump and do what some people did, or, my path that was like, yep, here, let's just risk it all. I got nothing.
Well, I mean, you did sell knives and make like $4,000 a day when you were 16. So I feel like you at least had some, hey, I can do this thing because I have a track record.
I did have the belief, which you said, like the vision that you saw that in your parents wasn't that. And I do think it makes a difference in what you see or what you see as possible, that creates the fear or not. Because yes, it took courage. It takes people courage to just jump and start without bumpers. But if you've seen that that's a path over and over, it doesn't seem scary. And I think we've had this conversation on one of the shows with you. Like, I think about that as my kids are in college and that age of like trying to figure it out and figure out what they're going to do. When they've seen that vision of entrepreneurship. Gosh, why is that word in every version of it?
Entrepreneuring?
Yeah, entrepreneuring. That there's parts of it they see that they love, and I'm sure that will be your kids too. I think they've said, I know Hildy's watching since she commented, but I think their vision of it a lot is, are you working all the time or are you ever working?
It's exactly that. And the answer is yes.
Yes.
And I think that's good. I think people talk about work-life balance, and I'm like, no, that makes it sound like it's a teeter-totter that you can only do one at a time. And I think most entrepreneurs, and I didn't realize this at the time, but this was like how I lived college, and why if I would have like had my head not up my ass so far, I would have probably realized like I should be an entrepreneur. But like I was like working and playing at the same time almost all the time. Mm-hmm. Like even on Saturdays, I was doing research projects, and our research project would end at the bar. And so like I get to do that now all the time. Like where I am my best self is when I'm like at a convention at the bar, talking to other business owners, helping them do their thing. But I'm working, or I'm here talking to you. I don't have a beer yet because I still got to go pick up my kids because my wife is out of town, which we've already talked about. But I think like the entrepreneur doesn't do work-life balance. That's a corporate thing. The entrepreneur does both full speed. And so the answer to Hildy's question is yes, we do both at the same time.
And like you said, it is, you love what you do. Like, I love this. I enjoy this. This is when I'm at my best doing stuff like this. And newly in the convention world and talking to people and sitting there and conversations. And it is also when I'm having the most fun. It's when I'm my best at my career, and it's when I'm having the most fun. So
work.
And play. All at the same time. Okay, so talking more about courage and courageous decisions in your journey now as a business owner, what are some courageous decisions you've had to make? Either things that were failures or pivots or moments that stand out.
The biggest ones, I think, are when we decide what we're not going to do, because everybody always wants to like pull us in a direction, customers, family members. And so there's a lot of opportunities to say yes. And for a long time, I would continue. I'm just like, that sounds cool. Let's do it. Right. But that's an easy thing to say. It's way harder to say no. And to know why you're saying no, and to like double down on what you already have going on. So in our business, we went down this path of we're going to be multi-state home services, and we're going to scale this like multi-service home service business across the US. And we're going to do it through acquisition. We're going to figure out, we're going to be opportunistic. If acquisitions are the right play at the time, we're going to do it with that. And we're going to be building these team members up, and then we might be sending them out to go start a new location. That sounds great when you just say it, but trying to run home service businesses across the country, which is a very people-driven business, obviously. Like at one point we had 10 businesses, I think, between window cleaning, pressure washing, maid service, interior and exterior stuff. And it was miserable. And I think in the back of my mind, I kind of knew it was miserable and not really what I wanted to do. But it was the path we had set out on, and kind of like the path I had set out on for my career. It took me a little bit to be like, wait a second, is this what I really want to do? And we were already kind of leaning towards exiting some of these businesses, but where it really hit me in the face was this last April. I was like 2 conventions in a row for our admin company. And then while I was traveling, our general manager of one of our home cleaning businesses took another job. And it was like a great move for her. It was what you want of your employees. It's like, we elevated you to a point where you could go like pursue something you've always wanted to do. that's like the best thing. So it wasn't even like she quit. It was like she got this opportunity and she like brought it to me, and I was like, Terry, you got to go do that. Like, you can always come back, but you'll never have this opportunity again. Like, the whole reason why you're here and why we elevated you to be a general manager is so you could learn stuff, do cool stuff, and see where that takes you. And if that's being the general manager for the rest of your life, cool. But I don't think it is for anybody. Like, at some point you're going to move on. And my only ask is that you would have like trained your replacement. Well, she had trained a replacement. The problem was the replacement had left 3 months earlier to go pursue her dream in the dentistry space. So we're doing a great job of elevating our great people, but we elevated 2 of them out. And the third person was good. We ended up putting her in that role. It's choppy, right? Not a general manager is like running the business. And that's a whole lot different than being a technician or even being a manager. So she had a lot to learn and like trying to lead managers and figure that stuff out. And so it was choppy, but we were getting by okay. But what really sucked was I had to travel a 3rd week in a row, and I missed my 4-year-old's birthday, and my wife was 6 months pregnant. And I was just like, well, this is stupid. Like, that's definitely not the dad that I want to be. And like, frankly, I don't care about a 4-year-old's birthday party. Like, if I got invited to my nephew's birthday party, I'm not going because I'm like, yes, a 4-year-old's birthday party. I can't wait to see what kind of cake their mom made. So it's not about the birthday party, right? It's just about what I want my kids to think about their dad. And I don't want them to think, to what we were talking about earlier, that your dad is always working all the time. And there is that perception, or the risk of that perception, if you're literally gone. And I know you used to bring your kids with you, which I think that's super cool. And like, so it's like, I want my kids to like see me working hard. I think that's super important, that they know that I work my ass off, partners. And I've got to go tell them what I think and what I want to do. And that was a little bit scary because this was a vision that got put in place before I was even here. But at the end of the day, it's like, you got to do you. And doing me was focusing on the admin stuff, and only I travel a lot, but I want to travel when I want to travel and not when I have to. So
yeah, I love that. It does take courage to do you, what you said, to own and decide and know that, like, this is my strength zone. I say unique genius a lot, the things that you do well, but also fuel your fire and are not. It's that delicate balance when you say work hard, that you're constantly evaluating that it is still working hard in things that you're good at, things that fuel your soul, fuel you with fire, and get you closer to your ultimate mission, vision in your business, in your family, in your life. And does it all align with that? And it does take courage, like you said, to pivot, to say, hey, world, hey, investor, hey, everyone. No, we are not doing the plan that we thought we were going to do.
Yeah.
And because then, people are questioning you or I think it takes courage in people's thoughts. I don't know why we care so much what we think people think, but
it's
we
funny.
Think people look at us like, oh, that's a failure. And it's not a failure. I chose to move.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, it's like, it's a conundrum because I like to think that I don't care what other people think, but that'd be full of shit. Like, of course I do. But I think it's that I care what people think that are people that I care about. If it's just some Yahoo on a Facebook thread or a Twitter thread, I don't really give a shit what they think. But if it's somebody that I know and care about, I super care what they think, which is why, like, missing a birthday party, like, I totally care what my kids think, right? It's not, and so like, we want to have the courage to do our thing, but part of our thing is always going to be dependent on what people think about us, because that's what defines us. What we think about ourselves is not what defines us. What everybody else thinks about us is what defines us. So it is a weird balance. It's like, I need to have the courage to do what I want to do, but I also need to make sure that other people appreciate it. If they don't, they won't listen to my show or your show or use our services or whatever. So it's just this weird, I don't have a good way to define how weird it is. I don't have the words to describe it, because it's like, I don't care, but I super care. It's somewhere in there.
It's somewhere in there.
It's
and with
probably,
that,
it's probably both are happening at the same time. It's just like working and playing. It's not caring and caring are happening at the same time. That's as good as I can do.
All right, we're going to try and take a commercial break because who knows if the commercials play since the music didn't play. Okay,
You can do it. I believe in you.
Questions. So if you're watching on Facebook, I told you guys in advance, help me put Dan in a hot seat. Questions. We got some more things I want to talk about, and then we, might just do some hot seat questions. So let's see if a commercial plays. No, file not found. How did they
hack your computer?
All suddenly, like, these have always worked, and then all of a sudden I'm like, no. All of a sudden, commercial.
Hey, wait, check this out.
Oh, you have a commercial. Yes.
Check this out.
Have you considered artificial turf? It's great for areas
with
high precipitation, which means no mud after heavy rain and no more mowing wet grass. Today's artificial turf is made using recycled materials and helps to reduce water consumption in areas of drought. Turf Envy's artificial turf is constructed of quality raw materials, safe for pets, humans, and our environment. With decades of experience, our staff can help with support, training, and product education to give you confidence when estimating a project for a potential customer. Learn more at turfenvyusa.com today.
You're listening to Turf's Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, Wayne Vowles, the Prophet, your host of Profit Time here on Turf's Up Radio. If you listen to my show, you know I'm all about profit. As an industry, profit is something we fail to meet most of the time. If you're working hard but not seeing the results that you deserve, Profits Unlimited is here to help. We offer processes and systems designed specifically to make your company more successful, more profitable, and certainly more efficient. When you're ready to take your company to the next level, reach out to me at profitsareus.com. That's profitsareus.com. And don't forget to turn into Profit Time every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
All right, I got one more I got to play here real quick. Hey, business nerds. This is the Service CFO, Dan Platta, host of Bookkeeping Beer BS right here on Turf's Up Radio. Tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern to catch an entertaining take on all types of business topics. Imagine a morning sports radio show, but instead it's a business afternoon happy hour. Our panel of business experts will dive deep into a range of meaty business topics from recruiting and hiring to buying equipment to scaling your business. We cover that and much, much more to help you grow your home service business profitably. So tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern to catch Bookkeeping Beer BS right here on Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station. Yeah, it's a good one. I like that one.
Perfect. I don't think I have an intro. I need to.
Oh yeah, you got to get an intro going.
Commercial. I need a commercial.
Yeah, then I can play your commercial on my show.
Yes. That would be okay. Well, see, we're learning all kinds of new things today. Thank you for saving me on the. Who knows what happened to this?
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed that it took me so long to realize that I can play commercials too.
We could do that. I could do that on your show and you'd have to figure it out. I could be like, here we go. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to ask one of Edward's questions before I dive into more. Mr. CFO, as someone who owns and runs multiple businesses, what do you think is the hardest thing business owners go through when it comes to running and operating multiple businesses?
I think it's there's a lot of stress on the business owner of like just mental load, right? Because you're getting pulled in so many directions. But I don't actually think that's the hardest part of it. Or I don't think that's the most debilitating part of it. Entrepreneurs are pretty good at bouncing from thing to thing to thing. There's definitely something, and again, this isn't the most important thing, but it's a thing. There's definitely something about when you give something your full attention, how much better you can do at it. as entrepreneurs, we already suck at that anyway. We're all like super ADD. So it's like nothing gets our full attention. Like we're working and playing at the same time. We try to do as best we can, but there's definitely like a distraction element to it for sure, where you're not as, and we were really intentional about this on bookkeeping, where it was like, we're not going to do tax stuff. We're not going to do accrual basis accounting. We were like super intentional about what type of accounting we would do because of all the mistakes I've made of trying to do too many things, chasing all the shiny objects. Yeah. So I learned my lesson from like getting distracted and trying to do too many things, because it does mess you up. But I think even more importantly is the impact on your employees, because they don't get your attention and they wonder what the hell you're up to. And if you're going to scale a business, leadership is everything. It's not about mowing lawns. It's not about plowing snow. It's not about doing bookkeeping. It's about how good of a leader and culture you build, because a business can't scale if it's dependent on you. And I think that was the hardest part that I had, is I was bouncing around from thing to thing to thing, but I couldn't give any of my people enough attention to develop them where they felt like they were getting enough attention, or that their team felt like I was giving that location enough attention. And so wherever I wasn't, the culture would kind of dwindle. Like I just didn't have enough time to like elevate it. And so I think that was the big, especially because we were geographically distant. I think that was the biggest hang up for us. And that was like emotionally the biggest hang up for me, is I'm obviously a people person. And so when I can't be there for my people, which is why when like a few days notice, I'm like flying to St. Louis to like try to organize the team thing. Like, yeah, as a business owner, that's the thing I need to do. But it was all just about the people. And you just get pulled in so many different directions trying to be there for everybody, and you can't. And so I think that was the worst part, was culture wise, you can't possibly fulfill everything that needs to be fulfilled that the team needs from you. So I think that's it.
That's a lesson I need to hear. That was something that I needed to hear. So
I didn't.
Great. I think we expected it to be a CFO answer or something like that, and you are spot on of exactly. We're like, okay, you guys have it, and I'm gonna go over here, and this ends up taking way too much of your energy, your time, and even though they got it running the business, you're not investing in them and the leadership until they're ready to go. So I would say that constantly evaluating that, like, when did you build up the leaders enough that the leaders are investing in the rest of the people? And you only need to, but you can then prioritize your time in investing in the leaders.
Yep.
And the rest of the people, the rest of the culture is led by the leaders investing them. Then you can.
And if you can give, like, so in our bookkeeping business, I guess bookkeeping and recruiting, like Sean runs our recruiting business. He's gotten a lot of my attention for 6 years. And so he and I have a great relationship, and like we'd jump in front of a freaking bullet for each other. Janelle and I she runs our bookkeeping business, and she's only been with us for like 3 years, but her and I have gotten like a great working relationship. And if I can just keep investing in those two people, they get enough attention from me. But when I had leaders all over the country, especially because they're remote, like, yeah, we can do a Zoom here or there, but I could just never give them enough where they didn't feel like they were on an island to some extent, and their employees could feel that, right? So, and I'm obviously, I didn't know Ed was going to ask that question, so this isn't like a premeditated answer. Maybe I'll think of something financially different. As like
that's the perfect thing. This is a great answer. It is something
it's the best thing I got. It just seems like it's always the people. I mean, and at the end of the day, we're all running people businesses.
Yes.
There's maybe a few people out there that are like manufacturing something. Even then, you usually need some human behind it. But we're in the service space, so we're running no matter what we do, we're running the people business, and it always just comes back to that.
I like that you said all entrepreneurs have some form of ADD. It's so true. Like so everyone. True. I'm like, is it just me? Nope. The more I go on and the more people I work with, nope, it's just a thing.
And I mean, like, it's a thing that's on a spectrum, right? Some are worse than others. The ones that are the worst are like the most fun. Like Keith Kelfis, who's coming on my show tonight.
Yes.
He is everywhere, and it's so fun talking to him because you just don't know where he's going to go next. But then he'll get like really deep into something, like spiritually deep, and then like 2 seconds later he'll be like, and then I was out doing this,
And then squirrel.
It's just super fun. It's so fun.
So surprising, I was on Sean's show last night.
I saw that. I didn't get an invite. Huh. Okay.
And I'd only met Sean. We were at Vegas together, but not overlapping. Didn't get to meet him. So I've been with him on your show. And not that I didn't think he was a nice guy. I mean, but you know, the afternoon happy hour is, like you said, it's the sports show. We're all funny and it's not necessarily super deep. And wow, Sean went, I was surprised. It was amazing.
Sean's been around for a minute. He
went
tons of
real deep right away. And I guess knew that he could do that with me. I'm like, I need to rewatch that show. I was maybe a little bit too vulnerable.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing.
Oh, I was pretty vulnerable. I was like, wow. I was like, wow, this is deep. This is deep. So
we should have Sean do all of our employee reviews, maybe. Get the truth right out of them.
It was, yeah. It was.
Were you drinking red wine or what?
No, I wasn't drinking at all. It just was. I'm like, man, Dan tries to be funny and give me more wine and get stuff out of me all the time. And Sean just goes into like this, spiritual, personal growth space of surrender and rock bottom moments. And I'm like, oh,
just digging in. I do like the rock bottom moments. Because I feel like that's where like the biggest lesson is. It's a good one.
Yes. That's what I said. He was talking about different times of like low and times that he struggled in. And then like we talked about ego and working through ego, putting ego aside, all of the things. And I said, it was probably more of a woman thing. Men don't say that. They say rock bottom moments. And I often say when I'm talking that, the biggest breakthroughs come from the bathroom floor. When you are in your worst moments.
I was talking, I'm trying to think of who the conversation was with. They were like, the time when you cry in the shower, I was talking about when I had not like a full on breakdown, but with like me, a couple years into my entrepreneurial journey where we had all these businesses, but I was also trying to scale a maid service business in Minneapolis here. And like, I was the dude on the truck still. We had like 6 cleaners, but every other day, 3 of them would show up. Right. And it was, now this is a total entrepreneur thing to do. I started working at Blue Skies, we had about 100 employees across the country. So I'm like taking over that leadership role. We had our first kiddo, which apparently is like, that's a thing that is big for some people. I don't know, because we also bought our first house, and Marty got out of school and got her like job in the corporate world. So like we both changed career paths. New house. Oh, by the way, the house needed a year's worth of renovations. So we lived with our in-laws for a year with my in-laws. I guess they're not both of our in-laws. That'd be super weird. But we lived with my in-laws, her parents, for a year. Well, we had a brand new baby. Well, we had brand new jobs. And then at night we'd like run up to our house. Our house was like 10, 15 minutes away, and we'd be like working on it. I'm not the most handy guy, but I was like, I'm going to save some money, because I'm a frugal dude. So like whatever that didn't need to pull a permit, to do some, just whether it was knocking walls out or whatever, put that on my shoulders. So I remember I was driving home. We were like at my parents' house back in central Wisconsin. And it was like during hunting season. And I was driving home, and I just remember just tearing up in the car. I was like, I just don't want to go back. I don't want to go home. I just want to stay back on this hunting trip. And my wife was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. Like my parents are getting old. Like I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I took on too much stuff, and it's just how heavy I was. Just leave me alone. Okay, just kidding. Give me a hug. But I won't call it like a rock bottom, but it was definitely like a reckoning. And it wasn't on the floor. And the whoever, I think it was Janelle I was having the conversation with, and she was joking. She's like, those moments when you just cry in the shower, and I was like, nah, mine's like behind the wheel. a real safe place when I'm going 70 down the highway. But yeah, I've been there. I'm not a crier. Except for like a good Disney movie, you get those animated Disney movies. They're getting better and better at like tearing me up. I don't know if I'm just getting soft, but like, I don't think I've ever seen my dad cry, so I'd be embarrassed to cry in front of him. But that's like the only time I can like reflect on where I was like, I was tearing up, I was choking up. So
I'm not a crier either. I mean, it just is in those private moments, and I talked about that on the show last night. I don't think I said that particular one, but yes, like moments, and people think you're at a high, right? People are like, look at all the things that you're doing.
You're probably rich because you own your own business and you do
everything's going well. It's awesome. And I talk about low moments in the book of like journeys of starting over or whatever. And I told him, I was like, I was on your late night show, and I said to you, you're like, what's the biggest obstacle in your business right now? And I'm like, me. I know I now don't have a community, like I'm in a transition and I'm doing everything the opposite of supporting myself that I thought I should do. And my moment of like, I don't ever remember crying so much, is I was about to go on stage for the biggest speech I'd ever done. And this is recently, it's after your show. And just like same sort of path of like life was transitioning. Am I going this way in my business? Like, everything overwhelm. It's all on me. I think that's the thing as a parent and a business owner of like you suddenly feel like the weight of the world is on you.
Yeah. You like, you take a quick look around. You're like, oh shit, there's so many people dependent on me, and can I handle it? And what am I going to do about it? And how do I
have to help? And so I was literally laying on the bathroom in the green room. And they were like at the door, the person's at the door of the bathroom, and they're like, we just still don't understand why there's 10 slides of your PowerPoint that are how important it is of who's in your green room, like who's in your green room in life, like who's there that unconditionally loves you, that fights for you, that supports you or whatever. And they're like, and you have 0 people with you here in the green room.
Oh no, that was probably what got you, isn't it?
And I'm like, oh no.
That was what got you.
Anyway,
that's a great analogy, though. I like that one.
It was. I mean, here I'm telling everyone in the world, and I had identified it to you right before that. I was like, I am going through a transition and need to figure out who's in my green room.
Yeah.
Who is there to fight for you? David Goggins calls it who's in the foxhole with you.
Mm-hmm.
And how important that is, that you have people in your life that will fight for you, will pull you off the the bathroom floor, that are your biggest cheerleaders, that all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really was my entire presentation of never be in the green room alone. And then they were like, why are you in the green room?
Well, and then you get like the classic entrepreneur imposter syndrome, where you're like, oh God, I'm a fraud. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, because like you start doubting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, what the heck am I doing? Anyway,
mm-hmm.
Enough. That was a lot of serious. The show with you is supposed to be all about funny.
Oh, we're going to have fun. Hey, do you want me to play some more commercials since I have the power?
We do need one more commercial. Ask some more questions if you have them. I have some more for Dan too, but he's going to play another commercial.
I'm going to play that Bookkeeping Beer BS commercial one more time, and then we'll keep
Okay.
Are you still mixing station gas and oil for your string trimmer, leaf blower, or chainsaw? Eliminate the mess and the guesswork with True Fuel, the original pre-mixed 2-cycle fuel. True Fuel is ethanol-free and precision-engineered for small engines, improving performance and extending the life of your outdoor power equipment. And True Fuel is available for both 2- and 4-cycle engines. Empower your equipment with True Fuel. Learn more at TrueFuel50.com.
You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Now you can even ask Alexa to tune you in when you're home.
Are outdated spreadsheets and whiteboard scheduling costing you jobs? Or is a lack of consistency between crews causing your bids to differ from job to job? Or worse, delaying critical invoices and payments? Crew Control offers all-in-one business management solutions fit for every trade. From bidding and scheduling to invoicing and integrating payments, Crew Control provides real-time visibility into your crew's efficiency, whether you're in the field, in the office, or even on vacation. Manage your crews more effectively and improve business performance with Crew Control. Start your free trial today at crewcontrol.com.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, here's to all the women in the green industry. Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
That was me doing the TV thing.
And we're back.
I didn't give you a countdown.
I love that you were able to save me with the commercials.
It's the best thing I've done all day.
It's all about the technology, you guys. When I was starting the first time, I kept texting Dan. I was like, so how do I go live on the radio and do this? And everyone has a different setup. So it's different for every single person.
Yeah.
And so I actually have this Bluetooth speaker that everything from the computer has to come through and then go into my microphone.
That's snazzy though. Except your audio just cut out. Yeah, you hit a button on your microphone and cut your audio out. That's classic. You can't teach that. That's perfect.
Oh,
That's so
and then
perfect.
the better part, which I said to you, is as soon as I agreed to do this radio show, and I'm like, wow, at the same time every week, then the traveling started. Then I'm like, well, it's bad enough to set this whole thing up and leave it.
Yeah.
But to try and set it up and figure out how to be live on the radio and have the cameras and look at everything is.
You're crushing it, Angela. You're crushing
interesting.
it. But who knows why your music isn't working? Who knows?
I know.
You got corrupted files.
It wasn't supposed to. People wanted us to talk about karaoke and singing. So there you go.
Do you have a go-to karaoke song? Sorry, I'm the worst guest ever for a show because I'm just like, let me just ask some. Start asking some.
I don't know. Why did I think that? No, I don't have a go-to karaoke song. Who said that I was good at karaoke? Anyway, I need to figure out who that was. Probably Hildy. Oh,
yeah.
Hildy.
She's in your green room.
She's never seen me do karaoke. I could sing. I'm gonna have to go to, where is it? Orlando?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to.
I don't do karaoke often, but at the Conquer Summit in early January, Melody Edwards is all about karaoke, and she.
I met Melody in Vegas, and now we're great friends.
Oh, nice. Melody's the shit. I love Melody. She's so awesome.
See, we somehow met in like 10 minutes and had this like spiritual connection.
Oh yeah, if you sit down with Melody for more than 5 minutes, it's getting spiritual. And it's great. Always. She just thinks at a different wavelength than most of us.
I'll get
super refreshing.
And then back in Vegas for ClipCon.
Booyah. Well, you get to see Sean at ClipCon. I think Sean's going to ClipCon. I'm missing that one, but he's representing out there. But at Conquer Summit, we did You're Welcome by The Rock from Moana soundtrack. Rob Anderson and I dropped that one. That was my last karaoke effort, and I think we crushed it.
I did not do karaoke when we were in Vegas. Melody was on stage the last night.
I bet she was.
And Dave went on stage.
What did Dave sing?
I don't know. It was with a whole group. It was one that it really didn't matter. It's like a whole.
Oh yeah, everybody can drown everybody out.
Yeah,
they can all sound terrible together.
There were other nights that I was like all in and doing the zip line, and my flight left at like 5:30 a.m. So
you were not all in that night.
See you later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to a question. Did Edward have another question?
He totally did. It's like a yes or no question.
Oh no. Are you drinking a Busch Light right now? He said no because he's picking up his kids.
Yeah, I got water in here, which is pretty. I mean, it's like basically a Busch Light. It's water, so darn near, but not quite.
On the next show. So in case we forget to tell you again, one, you should join us for Collaborate Live. That is on all of my links. Dave and I we're talking about traction for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah. So if people haven't heard of that, that'll be on. And then join Dan has Keith, right? Kalfas.
I got Kalfas on at 8 Central tonight. Like 2.5 hours darn near.
Amazing. Okay. What is we're going to try and do some rapid fire questions.
Ooh.
Well, this one might be a little longer. What is one thing that you've learned this year that has changed your perspective?
One thing I learned this year that changed my perspective.
And as a result, maybe changed your business in your life.
Man, I learned that I don't like being on the road as much. I think that was a big one. Like, I used to enjoy traveling. Now I'm kind of like, I like to go, but I like to get home a whole lot more. Kind of ever since that, where I missed my kid's birthday. It's like, and now with a 7-month-old, I think that matters too more.
And maybe shorter trips. You just came off of a extended 14 days.
I was gone. I was like 12 days gone. I was like, never again. That was stupid.
I like the in and out, like 3 days in and out. And then Hildy, if you're still listening, Hildy's actually in a season where she likes me and likes me to take her to a fancy dinner on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like it's super fun when your kids are old enough to like kind of be Yeah, where'd you go? You disappeared on me.
This is what happens. My camera gets too hot when I'm on your show and mine. So keep talking.
Oh, I suppose, the back and forth. I can't handle it. But yeah, it's super fun. Like that was like my favorite time of being with my folks was when I was like in college in my 20s. All of a sudden I realized like, oh shit, they were right about everything. But then we just got to like hang out and talk about adult stuff. And that was like my favorite time, which is probably why when I had like my like breakdown, it was partially like, shit, my parents are getting old. I'm getting old and I got my own kids now. So like that kind of, I get to hang out and like drink beer with my parents is a little bit, it's not done. Like we still hang out a lot, but now it's just different. This is like weird transition.
I think that breakdowns happen in those moments of transition where you all of a sudden feel like I'm alone in it. Like, who is going to rescue? You have those things like your parents, or you might have a business partner or whatever. Like, is there anyone that will save me?
And there's a ton of them out there, but for like some weird reason, we paint this picture in our minds that we're alone. But like I'm breaking down and my wife is sitting right next to me. Like obviously not alone at all. I had some other times where things got tough and I'd call Mike, my business partner, and he's always there for me. Right. So it's like we have more resources than we like lend ourselves to believe. Sure. But in those moments, like our brain just goes into like reptilian mode and shuts down and does what brains do.
I like that. Let's see. What is the movie that you've watched more than any other movie? That's just a rapid fire question. Movie that you watched the most times.
Man. I think it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Either that or Dumb and Dumber. It's one of those two. Like there's a couple stupid comedies that are like way up there. Oh, Big Lebowski, actually. I bet I've watched Big Lebowski more. Because in college, we'd like watch it and drink to it. Have you never seen The Big Lebowski?
No.
Oh, you got to watch it. You have to watch it. You got to watch it 3 times.
Okay.
Because the first time you're going to be like, this was really boring and stupid. And the second time you're going to be like, oh, that's kind of witty. And the third time you're going to be like quoting it over and over and over again. I don't know why it does that. Some people like it the first time, but usually the first time you're kind of like, what did I just watch? It's phenomenal.
Huh. See, not comedies. Totally different movies than mine would have been.
I'm just a funny guy. What can I say?
You are a funny guy. I should have expected that they would have been comedies. Mm-hmm. It's funny. Mine would be romantic comedies, and which is
10
funny.
Things I Hate About You. Where are we going with this one?
Wedding Date, Pretty Woman, and The Proposal.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, when a few weeks ago on your show, we started, I don't know who brought it up. Dave was like, it was a great idea. That was the thing to do, is watch romantic comedies.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah. He's like, that works, right? And giving everyone advice. And I'm texting him. I was like, that's the worst idea. That doesn't work at all.
Does it not? So I shouldn't go down that path?
Well, then as we're at conventions, he's like, and yet you watch romantic comedies? I'm like, I guess I have no idea.
Maybe I don't know as much about myself as I thought.
Maybe I don't know as much about myself as I thought. What's one weird thing that we don't know about you?
I got this broken pinky. Did you know that? This is as straight as that son of a gun gets. if you're listening to this without watching it, it's like at a 45.
What happened?
Would you call that like a 45?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at like 45. It was like, so I played a lot of football growing up, and you would have thought this would happen like when I was playing super competitive football. But no, this was like, I played, high school ball, and then I played actually like pretty competitive flag football in college. And then when I was working in the corporate world, we had a flag football team or like a touch football team. And of course, I'm like a washed up high school athlete, so I played my ass off. But I went up to catch a pass one time, and the defender just like got his finger on it right before it got to me. So instead of like hitting my catch window, it just deflected and hit my pinky. And it, my pinky's like hanging off to the side doing that sort of thing. But I'm a man, so I took it and like popped it out and popped it back in and just kept playing because that's what you do. And it was fine. Like it was straight at that point in time. It's not like I popped it back in. It's like, well, I was never going to straighten up again. What actually got me was I didn't like tape it off. I should have taped it to the finger, like splinted it, taped it to the finger next to it.
Yeah.
But it was a little swollen and sore, but whatever. Like it dislocated. I popped it back in. Everything's cool. But like putting a t-shirt on or a sweatshirt, it would always catch. And it eventually, like it just caught on enough stuff, and I re-injured it a couple times playing football. And this is just how it healed. It's at a 45. And I thought about getting like surgery on it, and they were like, well, we can probably, but you won't be able to, I can still like use it well. And actually, like if I'm taking a drink of something, it creates like a nice shelf for the bottom of the glass. So like a pint glass or a beer can works really well. But they said like if they operated on it, like really good chance it's going to get arthritis and it's not going to work as well as it does now. And it's like, so it can't go straight. But like, when was the last time? The only time where I like notice it, because I don't notice it. I notice it if I'm on camera and I'm like pointing at something. I'm like, oh, it looks funny. Or if I go in for a handshake, sometimes because it's already like turned in, it gets like awkwardly caught and pinched in a handshake. And I like it surprised me the first couple times it happened. So I couldn't like be cool and address it. But now I'm just like, yeah, you got that handshake. And like, what? Like, so now it happened to me at Transworld. We were down at Transworld in St. Louis last week at the Halloween and Haunt show. And somebody got a crooked pinky handshake from me. And I was like, check this out. Like, I bet you don't have one of these. So anyway, yeah, I got one of those. The old washed up high school athlete, post collegiate.
So that's my brother, huge athlete, played football in high school, and then was really serious about flag football in college and got seriously injured again. Like all these, broke his face, jaw, had to have his jaw wired shut, and has all these plates in his face from some fun flag football.
One of the guys on my team who we were playing, and it was like wet out. One of the other dudes on the other team wasn't wearing cleats, just had like sneakers on, and like came running at him and slipped. And the guy on my team had his cleats on, and big dude slipped into him, hit the middle of his leg, and just whatever that bone is, it was like, and I'm standing right next to him and heard every bit of that bone break right in the middle. It was like I almost fell over, like I was in a green room. Just like, oh my God. It was awful. I can hear it. I can still hear it.
All right. Well,
now that I grossed everybody out.
I don't know how it's already 5:30 because I could talk to you forever.
We'd just do like a 4-hour episode. Hey, there's nobody after you. Oh shit, I gotta go get my kids. Actually, I gotta go get one of my kids.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, you gotta get kids. I gotta go to Collaborate Live, but we'll have to do this again. I loved hanging out in person, so I'm bummed you're not gonna be in Nashville either.
Yeah, I if for some reason, I mean, I feel like I've got some tricks up my sleeve to get out of jury duty. I'm a wild card. I'm a wild card. I'm not a reliable citizen. They don't want me on that jury. So if I get out,
you're so judgmental. Tell them that. Mm-hmm. So, any parting wisdom?
Work smarter and harder. That's my parting wisdom. Work smarter and work harder. Don't forget to work hard. Feels good to work hard.
It does feel good to work hard. Well, Dan, thank you so much. I was so looking forward to having you on the show. Like I said, you have sparked this new chapter and venture in my life that you said sometimes yeah, we've got to really plan the yeses and what we're committed to and say no to things. And this was sort of a different thing. I'm like, yeah, I'll be on your show. And then the opportunities that came from it, I'm like, am I supposed to go in that direction? I don't know what this direction is.
You got to check it out now. The door is open.
But it's been a lot of fun. So
heck yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, and we'll have to do a part 2 sometime, because I know you got a whole stack of questions over there that
I have a stack I didn't get to. So thank you.
Save them for the next one. Save them for the next one.
Check. My video is now gone, but I'm gonna see if my exit music works. And do not forget to check out all of Dan's shows Wednesdays at 3 Central, 4 Eastern, and then Wednesday nights for the late night happy hour at 8.
Heck yeah.
Okay, here we go.